Everyone, hello and welcome back once again back to Anno 2205. Boy, it's been a few years since we played the game the last time, and I'm feeling that itch again to play this game, to build a mega city in one of probably the best sci-fi city builders out there, definitely one of the most beautiful ones out there. And in this game we're building huge towering sci-fi megacities that work together. You're building up complex logistics. It's still up to this point, I think, the biggest Anno game out there, and it's also one of the most complex games out there, especially once you push into end game. We're starting, as always, with a very small corporation on a small map, and we're then growing our city. We're expanding to the Arctic, we're expanding to the moon, we're building up those networks, we're even building a space station to get things cracking as well. And yeah, we're just gonna have a lot of fun with this. I hope you're going to enjoy this one. Let's get cracking. And with that, I mean, of course, the difficulty settings, as always, we want to start a new game, a new corporation.
I'm glad you accepted my invitation. Samantha Beaumont, Global Union Supervisor of the Lunar Licensing Program. We have a lot to discuss. But first, I'd like to introduce you to your artificial data amalgamating messenger.
Thank you for participating in the Lunar Licensing Program. The program stipulates that your corporation set up operative spaceports to act as bases for a new wave of lunar colonization. You will further assist Global Union in the development of a fusion energy reactor to avert Earth's impending energy crisis.
Alright, so that's basically the premise of this game. We're building up a corporation and we need to produce a lot of energy down the road. Of course, many other things will happen over that. We're playing also, by the way, with all the DLCs this game has to offer. It's a lot of them, like also the Tundra, of course, for once again another level of complexity. Now, in this case, Abstergo Industries is going to be my corporation name. I love this name. First of all, you unlock an achievement with that, and also it is, of course, the company that created the Animus, right, with Assassin's Creed. I love this, and I haven't played with this name yet. Of course, Banner of the Cat, it is as well. Is this a cat? I'm not entirely sure. It looks the closest to a cat to me, based on the list that we have. When it comes to the maps, I'm gonna play on a new map this time around, and that is Wildwater Bay. The last two playthroughs we actually played on Viridian Coves, which is okay, right? But you lose a lot of space with the rivers in between and the bridges you need to have. So Wildwater Bay is probably the biggest single landmass in this game. It's kind of like the Crown Falls, right? It's a huge map. You can build a massive city on that. You have beautiful towers or mountains towering in the background. So it has it all, right? And also a nice little quest in between, the treasure hunt that we can unlock. Also, it has a speciality, and that is that the bioresin production is cheaper in the sector. Yeah, that's a really weak bonus, by the way, because it's already a cheap production. For the difficulty settings, we're gonna go with Expert. Last time I played on Veteran, it is a bit tedious mid-game onwards, right? Because you really need to spam a lot of buildings. I want to reduce the spam a bit, so in this case here we're going to go with the Expert settings. That means we start with a very small capital. Also, this is important, there are no bailouts, so if we are bankrupt, right, the game is basically over. We also need to pay something if we want to relocate buildings, and we get a reduced revenue from employees and a reduced warehouse output, so this adds a bit of difficulty there. Also, of course, the combat missions are a bit harder. Bear in mind, I'm going to reduce the combat missions in this Let's Play because they're getting repetitive at some point, so I'm going to show 2 or 3 and you get the idea of it, and then it's basically rinse and repeat. Of course, city building is the focus of this Let's Play. With all things said and done, yeah, this is it. Let's crack a new Anno 2205 playthrough. By the way, if you enjoy my content, please also consider supporting me on Patreon. And if you want to enjoy my long plays, that's Let's Plays edited together, then also have a look at my second channel, Nivarias Plays. The link is also in the description. Let's go.
Are now entering Phase 1 of the Lunar Licensing Program. The Global Union assigned you territory in Earth's temperate region to establish a spaceport and a base of operations. The construction of a space elevator to Global Union headquarters is also required. For further instructions, speak to your official contact person. Global Union wishes you success.
Wide meadows and towering mountains. And soon you will add an impressive skyline to the picture. Between us, the Union is impressed with how your corporation is growing. Hardly surprising you've settled for such a vast sector. First things first, though. The protocol demands you bring a spaceport into operation here. The spaceport.
Alrighty, and here we are now finally in the game itself, and boy, this is exciting. I always love the beginning, right, when such a huge complex game, you're really starting with nothing and basically that's it. That's my port, that's the beginning, and we have our very first steps towards, going to the moon, and that is attract a population of workers and build a basic industry. And for this, we're actually not starting on Wildwater Bay right away on the big island, right, or the big landmass that we have over here. In fact, we're starting on one of the smaller islands surrounding this right over here. And before we can go there, we need to, get ourselves a name before we get the huge landmass there. Out on the global map, we can see all the territories that we can unlock down the road. We also have the moon over there. By the way, there's going to be more territories. These are just the temperate ones that we have unlocked. We have the global market and we have the future space station as well. For our own company, that is Abstergo Industries on expert difficulty, and it's corporate level 1. Let's get cracking. Now for this very first one, we're not gonna build, of course, a massive city right away. We are building a smaller production area here, right, for Wildwater Bay and for the whole city. By the way, there's these smaller crates here. You should definitely collect them because you can speed up your construction with that. So we just need to get around here. I haven't played on this map in a very long time, and in this case here, we do have some mountain sites over there, and we also have some coastal sites over there as far as I can see. So in that case, I'm gonna make me, we're gonna make us a nice road here, right, that goes up like this. So gotta be careful though about my money, so I should not do too much there. And then we can actually start with our very first houses right here, the first blocks of houses, I should say. And we're gonna have them right over here.
I hope this helps you.
And with that, the very first people move in, 4 on the population. It's also now that we're going to start with our very first industry. I'm probably starting here with my industry over here somewhere, and that is my sunflower farm, right? One of the first ones that we can have over here, and then together also with a biopolymer factory. Gonna have this one right over here, and both of them are now producing. The biopolymer factory consumes the bioresin that we produce, right? And this one is getting then processed into my biopolymers. Also, what we should have is a warehouse, but we cannot build it yet. But at least we got the basic building material construction going. So this is my very first one. Let's continue with some more blocks of houses. As we want to also unlock more buildings, that is, for example, my very first warehouse. We should really have this close to any kind of industry zone, so right over here. And as always, these buildings look fantastic. I really love them. Detailed, nicely animated, gorgeous. We also have a ship. We can use it to, for example, get over here and unlock us the territorial mission. Trenchcoat's trading carrier that has been stranded here. In the meantime, we have unlocked the next production. That is my next demand. So organic food is something we need to produce now. We need to provide water and we need to provide information before we can level up those tier 1 workers. For that, we do have now the desalination plant. So that needs a coastal site somewhere over here, and we can then just safely plop it down. However, you will notice this right away, we now also need energy. And energy is something we don't have yet. So while we do provide some water, we are also void of any electricity, and that is then the wind park, my very first energy production building. Energy is going to play a vital role in this playthrough, right? And shows you the problems of a futuristic city with its energy production. And in this case, for now, it's easy, right? But it gets harder as we progress. The wind park is here, and the wind park can only be built once in a radius, right? So I need to keep a bit of a distance here, so we're limited by that. Corporate level 2 has been unlocked right away as well. With that, we do get a bit of money in now, and the next level then is at 400. With that, we get a bit more credits in again, and also another account limit increase. There's going to be way more things that we unlock down the road here with those levels. At least energy has been provided again, and we can happily continue with a bunch more buildings. At this point, we've reached over 100 employees and growing. Now, easy peasy so far, isn't it? Let's continue with the rice farms. That's my first production building for food. And yeah, we actually already need 2 of them right away to have a surplus demand. And as we can see here, that's my overview. It's only those 4 goods at the moment. How very lovely. Now, after expanding all these houses, we also have unlocked a new building now, and that is the Infodrome. And this one here, oh, another level up there too. A few more credits we get in. Very much appreciated on that. The Infodrome is the first service building that we need to have, and this one provides the last need that we have, the information. Let's just check it out, how we can squeeze it in. I would like to have it like so, right here in the center of my block. It has then its special entrance here, and with that we have provided information. This also gives me something, I think, and it is, yeah, another satisfaction level. However, it also consumes energy. So once again, I need to build another wind park now. Let's just see how we can efficiently squeeze it in, probably right over here. And with also reaching 500 population now, we can finally upgrade our citizens to tier 2. Once we have a few biopolymers in, that's the case now, let's go ahead and upgrade our very first district. Tier 2 has been unlocked. Those buildings are getting lovely now. And with that, we've also finished the first step on our campaign mission. And also, operators move in. They look fantastic. And in this case, they want vitamin drinks, rejuvenators, neuro implants, and security. On top of that, we should also now upgrade our spaceport to have an elevator. I definitely also want to add some ornaments right away, just around my infodrome. Like we do have these billboards. Looking over here, visit the tundra. We're gonna do this at some point. We can already build a bike station as well for people, and also public transportation, like this bus here. The bike station is, I think, a bit too big. Yes, it is. But some smaller parks around it are not. And we can just draw them, and they're adjusting itself to the size of them, right, with different layouts. With that out of the way, let's upgrade a few more people. Beside that, we also have something new now, and that is the residential complex. This is a bit bigger than the one that we have before. It's also gonna create bigger towers for us. And we can also squeeze in more people. However, of course, it needs more space. And also it needs constructor bots. That's my second tier construction material. So this production we need to start now as well. Over here we have it, and it needs mining as its next, well, location. And in this case here, we do have 3 mining slots available. That means I can have a quarry for nano ceramics over here. I can have a cobalt mine over here. And with that, we can then also have our robot assembly hall somewhere here. And yeah, I probably would like to have it right here as well in those. Bear in mind, all of this will, of course, once again increase my electricity demand. So we need to build another wind park, probably somewhere over here. And these are tier 1 mines now, so we can upgrade them and expand them as we progress. But for now, they're producing juicy minerals and rare earth elements for us that we can then use. And there it is, constructor bots are coming in at a steady rate of 10 per minute right now. And once again, we can continue with the expansion of our smaller settlement. Very nice, and with all of that, we have these complexes now. Corporate level 4, thank you very much for this. And I would also like to reserve a bit of space here for a park. We can already upgrade some complexes. Let's go ahead and do this. I'm leaving some room available on purpose to add some more ornaments as well, of course. Also, we have reached 1,000 employees at this point. Very nice. It's at this point that my tier 2 operators want the vitamin drinks now badly. So if I do not satisfy this one as the population grows, these people are going to be more and more unhappy, and that leads to a whole bunch of additional problems. So what we want to do now is start with that. That's the fruit plantation and the vitamin condenser. However, before that, we still need to add also another wind park. And I would probably like to do this once again somewhere over here, where we still have plenty of space. This area is getting a bit dense already, so it's not a very big island that we're on right now. So let's just get us our roads done and start with my vitamin production somewhere over here. That's those fields. They will also need a warehouse not too far away. Gonna build this one right over here. And with that, we have the fruit farms. You know what? Let's actually build 2 of them right away for a surplus of 16, well, fruits per minute. And with that, we can have the vitamin condensers. Let's have them over here. They don't need that much space. And that's a 30 electricity though. So if I build 2 of them, we will actually already be at the limit again. Let's build another wind park right over here. Looking at the ratio, this one was enough to consume the fruits of those 2. However, we are still not meeting demand. So yeah, I do need to build me another fruit farm and also another vitamin condenser. Bear in mind, it doesn't need to have full input, right? It can also work with only like 50% efficiency. As long as we meet demand, I'm happy with it. Let's also have a look at the quest right over here, a project that is being offered to us.
I figured out and picked up a whole bunch of interesting stuff. I can put your coordinates back onto my route. Take a look at this. In your place, I wouldn't pass up the opportunity. Sooner or later, we all gotta bite the grass, right? Take care of it, but don't gab about it.
Right, so this one here we need to repair or we need to treasure hunt. First we need the map, and for this we need to, yeah, scour the coast. I think that this coast here is being meant, and we need to have a look where we find a crate that we can then collect with our ship. Yeah, all the way in here, out of this river, there is an old chest. So we need the map because you need that. So we need to also find the wreckage parts. So off we go with our ship, getting us the drone, attaching it to the vehicle. And with that we can then look for the signal.
Roger.
We should be very close at this point. And there it is. And after a bit of time, we have found the 4th one that we now need to bring back to our warehouse. That is back in my city, and here we can now finally continue also once again with some construction right over here. My goal right now is to, yeah, upgrade a bunch more people. However, we're not meeting our organic food demand anymore. So once again, I will need to ramp this one up as well over here. Space might be an issue at some point. We of course also continue with the upgrades. And with this thriving town, finally we have enough operators to warrant the upgrade of our spaceport. However, before we do that, my wreckage parts have arrived, so we should also now unload them.
Great job you did there, but unfortunately, that ain't the end of it.
Now he wants to have enough workforce, so we need to maintain a balanced workforce of 500 for 5 minutes. We do not meet that at the moment, so we need to wait on that quest a bit longer. Let's get to my spaceport over here. We now have the option to upgrade this one. It costs me lots of constructor bots, and it will take a full minute.
Rafferty here. Miss Bowman assigned me to ensure the transport safety. Approaching your sector, over. Code red. We're under attack. Code red. Damn it. The cargo. Protect the ship.
People of Earth, This is the manifesto of the moon's independence. The global union waged war on us for generations with weapons like falsehood, negligence, and exploitation. And the LEC bowed its head in servile compliance. But not anymore. Set no foot on the land of our forefathers. We are the orbital watch. The moon is free.
They attacked us out of nowhere, sunk all my ships, and took over.
Well, hello there, terrorist organization.
Blockading the whole sector. No transports are going to make it through anymore.
All right, no time to study regulations. Meet Rafferty at the coordinates transmitted. Do whatever is necessary.
And we now need to free the detained transporter.
Attention.
And with that, we also have the first mission now available on the global map, and we can only do the first standard difficulty. We can also upgrade our ships. No, not really. We start with the basic fleet. That is those 3 ships. We can upgrade them further as we progress, right? And for now, let's get this one cracking. Bear in mind, while we do that, the other map continues to work as normal. So if we have a problem here, we should probably fix it before we enter a mission or another map. Everything is real time.
There. That's where the bleeding cowards attacked us. Still circling our cargo ships like a swarm of black flies. And I see they brought reinforcements. Gotta be careful. I've seen them before. They've no compunctions at all. Press past their blockade and free our ships. I got your back.
And with that, here we are now on this map. So the military missions are kind of like always working the same. You do have special pickups here, like the fuel, special items, and then you also have enemy ships. All of your ships, well, ideally should survive that. You have special ships that fire a bit more. You also have special items down here that we can always use, like an emergency repair, emergency defense. We can also have a missile barrage raining down on the enemy, depending on if we need that or not. Now, destroy the Orbital Watch Commando's ships. That's what we need to do here, primarily. And what I can see is we have that over here, right? So we need to get all the way over there. We can destroy as much as we want on the way. We're even getting some repair here from this guy helping us out for this very first mission. In this case, if we attack a mine, everything in its surrounding area gets destroyed. That also counts for enemy ships, so this is always a nice little tactical advantage you can use.
Coordinates confirmed.
What's also important here is that we gather special materials, that is iridium, graphene. We need that for module production, module construction later on. So whenever we find that, we should collect this as well. A little bit later, we've already arrived at the location. We can also speed up time on the combat missions to speed things up a bit. And there's the first transporter. We can already use the missile barrage on this. And the cool thing is, the transporter does not get damaged by that, but those ships are. Also, what I can see is we should probably use an emergency repair right over there.
Clear for action.
Energy shields active.
Weapon systems online.
I actually have quite a few hit points, these guys. And with that, we have freed the ship.
A bunch of ships on the
Out of that, we're also getting some military level experience now. With every level up, we can have more ships, and we can have better ships at that. And level 2 has already been reached. Also got some 25 iridium and 23 graphene. Actually, it's the other way around. It's been a while. And with that out of the way, the transporter has arrived, and we can finally finalize our construction of the spaceport.
Cable firmly attached. Elevator car ready for departure. Attention. Approaching Global Union Space Station. Prepare for docking.
Congratulations! The first step into space. All purviews of the global economy are now accessible for you. Phase 2 of the Lunar Licensing Program starts now.
I'm way too old for adventures like that. Gotta pass next time. So you better make sure you got a decent battle fleet. Stop by the dock.
And as you can see, right over here, we have our space elevator now. The very first phase has been finished. With that, also modules have been unlocked, so finally we can add them, and we have a whole bunch of different modules available, and each one of them costs me special resources, like this one here, the normal constructor bots for the desalination plant. And instead of using another coastal site now to meet my growing water demand, we can also add now modules to this that will also cost me extra, but only a bit more, right? It's just way more worth it to use these modules, so let's make this one here complete and have a positive water balance once more. However, we need more electricity. Over here we have our wind farm. We can also add these modules now to that to add additional power production. So you can now build those industrial complexes instead of just single buildings. We can also add some smaller batteries to this one here that reduces, for example, the maintenance cost, and also bots, the drones that we have over there, that reduces the workforce demand. I continue with a few more upgrades. However, we cannot stay here that much longer, as we do need to reach the next level of our program, and that is the Arctic region, because only in the Arctic region we can provide our people with the neuro implants. So I do need to prepare this one. Let's go to the global map again and unlock us the very first Arctic sector over there. We have a choice now what kind of map we want to go here for: the Akia Flows, Ikuma Glacier, and Kingate Protectorate. Probably would like to start with Akia Flows. It has the biggest building space that we have, the largest mass that we have over here. It also has a nice project for logistics, but way more important are cultivated materials. That's the special trait, and this means that we produce 10% more on all mining facilities, and mining is really expensive, so it helps us out there a bit.
Welcome to Phase 2 of the Lunar Licensing Program. You are now authorized to enter the Arctic region and access its deposits of rare resources to implement new means of galactic travel. Your official contact person will give you more information.
It's the Arctic Custodian's climate stabilization technology that keeps the temperatures below zero here.
I'm Dr. Howard Young. I speak for the Arctic Custodians. First, allow me to be clear. We expect you to abide by our directives at all times. The Arctic ecosystem is very delicate. Respect these rules and we'll get along just fine.
Alright, here we are now. Sector number 2 has been unlocked with that. The Arctic region. The first thing is we need to claim some land. We have 3 islands available. And I think this is the biggest buildable one that we can have. So let's go ahead and settle here right away.
Set up your new location wherever you want. All of the islands are suitable.
Now the Arctic has a few more different challenges. That is heat, especially, right? So I cannot just aimlessly go around and build everywhere. We need space. We also have a new construction material here. That's the metal foam that we need to use.
The Arctic Custodians will watch you like a hawk from now on. Their directives are strict, but you should adhere to them while building.
Also, things are very expensive here. So this is going to be one of the primary challenges early on for my very first settlement. Let's just make sure that we structure this one here a bit. Right, closing in on the lake that we have over there. A nice lake for fishing. And we need to get started here now with our very first inhabitants, the dwellings. And as you can see, these dwellings need heat, so it's very important that we only place stuff around that. We need to be very space efficient, everything concerning the Arctic. Also, the world market has been unlocked, and with that we see the prices of all the goods that we can buy and sell on the global market. Doing this a bit later though. So once again, this is something I really love about this game, how more and more mechanics are unlocking so quickly, and the game just gets extremely complex very quickly. Let's build the next block over here. And with that, we should also start now on our metal foam and canned food production. Have reached 2,000 global population. So this is the global population, right? Not for the region. We have, in fact, 25 people living in the Arctic right now. They want vitamin drinks, they want neural implants, canned food, and community centers. Vitamin drinks is, for example, something that we will not be able to produce here. So we will need to build our first trade routes then. But more of that later. For now, let's start with our metal foam production. And this needs actually an aluminum mine and also the metal foam. So let's have a look where we do have a mining site. Over here is one. I would like to start with that. 200 electricity we have for starters, so that's also going to be pretty important to keep our electricity in check. This one is producing heat itself, but we're not going to use the mine for that. I think we're going to use the compression chamber right over here. And yeah, this is something that's going to be tricky, right? Only industrial buildings produce heat, and only close to them we can actually have then more people living. So let's have our first compression chamber over here with this road connection then. This is now producing building materials for us. We can do the same thing for the fish, so we need a coastal site for that right over here. With its own connection, probably, wait a second, here. Going to it. There you go. This also consumes logistics, another parameter setting in now, and this logistics center, we need to build them. That's the transportation center. Let's have this one probably close to it, somewhere down here. Oh, you can really feel the cold out here. Freezing. Yeah, we lost a lot of credits here in the Arctic. Every building is super expensive. There's the canned food production now, the cannery. Also, this one here produces heat. So let's just have this one somewhere over there. And with that, we also got a basic canned food production now working that we're gonna need. Yeah, let's use the space that we've heated now here for more houses. And finally, we've also reached the 50 workers that we need, and with that we can upgrade our spaceport here now. This is important because without that we cannot have a trade route going to the Arctic.
Earth's barely healed wound. Let's see what happens when I braid it.
Warning. Climate stabilizer network producing weather anomalies. External manipulation detected.
Systems not responding. Stabilization values approaching critical level. They have the whole climate stabilizer network under their control. You are responsible for this. It's the lunar licensing program that brought those terrorists here. Consider our support suspended and keep out of our affairs.
He's not particularly happy with us right now, so we need to resolve the issue ASAP. And that means another military faction has been introduced that we need to defeat.
We got nothing to counter these attacks.
And yeah, once again, we can find them on the global map.
We have to interfere, official admission or not. Enact a hacking counterattack against the
And the interesting thing here is we actually have a choice. Either we do the mission or we reach the next corporation level. I'd rather do the mission because we need more graphene as well, those special resources.
There. See the mess? Transmitters generating interference all over the place, plus battleships to guard them. I'd like to hear Dr. Maverick explain just how we're supposed to cope with such a force exactly. Glad you're not letting us down here.
Long ago, people believed that the moon controlled the weather. We will prove them right.
Alright, here we are now, and free the climate stabilizers by destroying the orbital watch interference transmitters. Still only have 3 ships. Should be fine though. We do have some side quests here popping up, right? So we can go for them. Destroy a charger, for example. This gives me some iridium and combat experience. This is something up to us if we really want to go for all of it that this map has to offer, right? So also some optional goals here. There's also something here. This gives me petrochemicals. That's something I would really like to get. Use the kinetic shield 4 times is something that we should be able to do. That's this here, right? So 4 times. Basically I have to spam it every time we are in combat. Like here, for example, it's protecting my ships from any damage for a small period of time. Especially if there's someone like this coming in here trying to overpower me. There you go. And yeah, a combination of my shields, a combination of the shields, the repairing, and my weapons will just get me through this mission here.
Clear for action.
And a bit later, we have arrived at the climate stabilizers that we need to destroy right here.
Weapon systems online.
So time to use that here once more to finish also our quest. Get me a support fleet in.
Stations, they're attacking.
And we might also use some of my missile barrages now to get things cracking here. There you go.
Here they come.
It's actually quite easy if you save up on these for the last push that we have right now.
Target acquired.
Support's on the way.
Copy that.
Well, I guess it's a good thing we have more than one building.
And there's the last one. Finish the mission.
Oh, what? That was scary.
That we're getting some petrochemicals now. Also graphene, which is very important for us. Level 3 on the military stuff. And this would give me now the turtle upgrade for 30,000 that we can also do then. Back in the Arctic, we can now also finally finalize our spaceport to the first level.
The orbital watch presents a greater threat than we thought. Drake must have secret supporters. It's essential the Union shows a strong presence on the moon.
The next mission is already a bit harder. Attract scientists, which is the tier 2 level of the Arctic region. And for this we need to create also our first transfer route for vitamin drinks to get them something with nutrition in, right? There you go. Vitamin drinks is something you cannot push in the Arctic yourself. For this, we need to do a few more things. First of all, we need more electricity here. And that needs a mountainside. So something over here, for example, provides me with 300 power, which is really nice, right? As a nice starter production. Let's get this one all the way over here. Always making sure that we make the road layout so that we, can adjust them easily, right? And also add more buildings down the road. That's a lot of electricity. With that, we can push more fish that I would like to do over here right away so that we have more canned food coming in. And with that, we can push a few more cells here. Arctic dwellers, as they're called. Like here, for example. And then probably, if I'm doing it something like that, we should also be able to move them a bit so I can squeeze in a few more here, right? That's something you always need to watch out for. There you go. And with that, we can also have them over here. And then continue with this road and all the way. We're gonna adjust the layout here in the future. For now, we can just enjoy these buildings. Boy, I love them. Yeah, fantastic, really, if you consider how old this game is. Getting the transfer road done is one of the more important things. The problem is we already lack them in Wildwater Bay as well. I can still go ahead and implement this very first trade route here between Wildwater Bay and Archaea Flows. And we're going to say that we want to get those, 5 is the demand. So I would like to have a small surplus of this so that we have a surplus of 3. This will cost me 250 upkeep, right? And it transfers then 8 over. And with that, we have it done. Let's go back to Wildwater Bay to fix the problems that we have here already. And they're numerous, right? So for example, we do lack the vitamin drinks for some reasons. Like yes, we can also add now modules to the fields and produce, for example, more fruits with my fields, right? Like having this one here. Bear in mind though, all of this is very expensive. And we can also do the same thing for the vitamin condensers now that we have then over here, so that we can push all the way now to a positive surplus here for the vitamin drinks. However, all of this costs me workforce and also, especially electricity. At this point, we could also train astronauts and send them to a space station that we need to construct first, though, so this is way in the future, but it's nice that we get the quest already. Another level up to 6 gives me an increase in my fleet size. And also a bit of money. And this money is exactly what we needed. Because with that, we should be finally able to settle in Wildwater Bay itself. Let's have a look at that. 59,000 credits we need. Having achieved that and got my ship close by, we can now finally settle on the main island, on the main land. There it is. And start the construction of our Wildwater Bay megacity. Alrighty, there it is, our Wildwater Bay Foundation. So in this case here, that's our very first district here. We're also getting some nice main roads, of course, that we can use to structure that whole thing. With that, we've also leveled up to level 7 now. And from here on, yeah, we need to mass scale things up, right? We need to get the construction materials going, we need to get our basic demand going, and we need to get way more power if we want to push more. The balance is looking absolutely fine right now. 3,700 people moved in with that, and we can continue with an information center. So in this case here, if we want to really provide a massive population, we need to have districts, we need to have blocks available as well, where, you know, service buildings will reside. So one of them is then, for example, my information center here. Right away, you get this nice little plaza area then, right, forming. I might actually need to move these buildings again, one block up. So there's going to be a whole bunch of service buildings here that we need to provide. It's safe to just keep a bit of space here available for now, as we continue then with more buildings close by. Now, we're going to need a lot of food production. As you can see, this is truly massive, right? And we could probably safely go all the way up here into this area there. So let's just make sure that we can make this work. 3,000 for the street we pay, by the way. So yeah, that's an investment that you just need to do. 4,000 it is all the way up here. And with that, we also get lots of these juicy coastal tiles that we definitely want to integrate into our economy. Also, some more constructed bots. Thank you very much for this. I think this looks like a very safe area here to start our mass food area, right? So we're going to build me, some warehouses here, right? And then you basically plop down a farm, right? Farm number 1. And this farm here gets the modules then that you can really use to maximize this yield. And as you can see, this is the module limit. However, you can still add then, for example, the workforce maintenance drones here. And as we scale up those industrial complexes, you really want to add those modules to that, right? So I'm gonna keep a bit of space here. I mean, for the organic food, it's not the most important thing, right? Because you basically have a very low cost, low workforce production with that. But still in the future, of course, for more expensive industries, you really want to get this cracking. What we should also probably build is our tidal power station. This is better than the wind farm for sure, as it is providing way more electricity than before, right? Let's also get us a nice traffic connection for this one, all the way up here, right? And with this one, we're having a production now of electricity. It doesn't even state that. Where's my power? It's not producing power. 300, there it is. And we can add 4 more modules to that, right? So this is going to last us for a while. It's, by the way, also all the way up here that we probably could start with then some mass production for fruits, like this one here. And they have a certain layout, really, it's that, right? So you go like this, and you just stack them together here to produce a lot of fruits. And with that, also, we have then our vitamin condensers. Once again, something that we can then safely, stack over here to get us a lot of vitamin drinks in for all these people moving into town. Another coastal site, ready to be used for water. Now let's also ramp it up to the max. And with that, we can also add, once again, some more districts. I would like to go ahead with some high density districts here, just along our main trading post then. And those little spaces that we have, we can then also use to add some ornaments here to decorate the town. We have lots of options for this as always. Some billboards we can add. Normal parks, there's some bigger parks than available as well. And of course even trees, but look at the cost of this. Just a row of trees here costs me 3,000. So we should be careful by how many we place, really. And let's also get us the first tier 2 population right in here into Wildwater Bay. Now, in order to support a city of that size and to continue with our construction, also the construction industry needs to get boosted. So biopolymer production and the constructor bots we need to ramp up. The same goes with my tier 3 building material that we're gonna need now soon. For that, we already have the production theoretically on this small island. So what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna waste any more mountain slots for this, right? So we can also just go ahead and say, okay, for the constructor bots, let's just get us a bunch of more modules in. We have electricity, we have a very good income here on the balance, so I would like to push this. Not too far though, because you never really want to overstretch your economy. So with that, we have these here, and then I just should be able to squeeze in one of these modules here. Let's just check it out how we can do this. Probably like this to get the increased production going. Let's also check it out here. We have now the nano ceramics at balanced, and also the cobalt. And with that, we have a surplus here of 20 for constructor bots. So that is going to work out for us just nice. The other thing is with the biopolymer. In this case here, we get the sunflower farm. And we can now also then just add us those modules here. So another one here for the bioresin, and then also we have the biopolymer production, where we can just squeeze this one in here nicely to get us another surplus going. And with that, we also have 30 biopolymers now in construction. All of this allows me to continue with my wild water expansion. So we continue with the main road, basically the whole road that will go through the whole city, right? And you also have then smaller main roads like this one here that we have then along the coast side. So here, making the connection with the water just by coincidence. And then we just go all the way down here. I want to have a road at the end of it, right, by the cliffs, so that we don't have the residential zones by the cliffs. That wouldn't look that good, I think. So you want to have a road there, because you can also make a nice fence then close to the cliffs. And this also gives me then room to also expand my normal houses. Don't forget, in these smaller areas, we can also just very greatly implement, for example, a bus station where people wait for that. I think in this case here, it actually makes a bit more sense over here, so that it connects with the general road here that we have. And then you can have a billboard just next to it, and then you might also just add some smaller parks, or even a lamp, like here, for example, and then also a smaller park in between. It's a really nice effect when you combine the medium park with the small park, as the textures adjust each other to make it look a bit more organic. Now I have no idea what we're doing with this area. I think we can safely work on a Grand Central Park, something like that, right, that we're gonna implement in this area here. So around that we continue then with more city blocks, like another one here. Especially the high density blocks, right, that we combine them just along the main road. What I really like is that we have the different sizes of residential zones. That is super great for these areas here, where you can then just mix them together. Regardless of the size of the park, this area here, for example, would cost me 72,000 credits. So before I really decorate things, we need to get more money in, right? Even though we have money, industry is gonna be expensive. Now, I think for this area, we can safely continue with more housing, because look at the size of the map. You know, I totally miscalculated. The central park is probably going to be somewhere over here at some point, right? So we can just safely plaster this one full with buildings, just as I would like to have it right here. And we could also work out some new layouts like this one, for example, that has then special ornaments here. Perhaps a bigger bus station area or something like that. We'll just see. And as the city is growing, of course, more demand kicks in. The same goes, for example, once again for my information. Let's actually have the information center here, and it's then surrounded by a nice plaza area here and a park area that goes then into the harbor area and the cliffs. I think this would look great then down the road as well. Lots of information needs that we have. Now, of course, we have a population, but it's not a particularly happy population, as we already have the next needs here. The newer implants, this is the Arctic terrain then, and then we got the rejuvenators now that we can focus on as well. For the rejuvenators, we actually need 3 steps now in production. It's getting a bit more complicated from here on out. So we do have the algae farm that we're gonna need, the synthel incubators, and the biomedical laboratory. Building them requires especially workforce and also a coastal side. On top of that, electricity. Coastal sides, we still have a bunch, right? So in my smaller island that we have right in front of Wildwater Bay, I would like to, start with my first algae production now. So we could make it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 algae productions potentially we can have on this beautiful island here. And this way we're already producing now 16 algae. Gonna go ahead and build me a second one right away to push this to 32. On the other hand, we're also gonna need, once again, yeah, well, a bit more electricity. So I'm gonna push me another wind farm here. We got 3,200 workers available right now. So employees we have potentially. Now the game already gives you kind of like a hint how you should proceed. In this case here we got the 3 islands available here right now. My starter island is one of them, and of course it makes sense for me to specialize those islands that I cannot claim the other ones at the moment. We have not met all the requirements like rare materials, so we are stuck with those 2. I'm not gonna have my basic industry though set up in Wildwater Bay because it's just too much time or, well, space waste that we would have then, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and we start with this production here. We do have some smaller productions here already. In that case, we are not gonna need all of that. So for starters, I could, for example, get rid of all of the food industry here that we have, right? Just gonna push all of them away, and we're gonna have them way more scaled up here, right? In Wildwater Bay already. And once again, this is also just temporary, right? So this food production, this whole food industry area here is gonna be moved into another sector entirely, so another map entirely. But for now, well, for now we're gonna need it right over here, so I'm just gonna push a few more of them in this area. I think here we're gonna need to have another field then here, and then I'm also gonna have another farm set up like so. And yeah, this is now already then my surplus again, and with that we have the space for my first algae production. All right, so we got the synthel incubators that I can have now. The first one here, we should always be careful that we consume not more than we produce, right? That would not be ideal. So we can basically squeeze them in like this. One more should do the trick, and with that we get 32 surplus here. Next in line we do have the biomedical laboratory. This is actually a really expensive building, right? This one here, that's gonna cost me. Let's have the first one probably somewhere here, right? And it's starting the production for this. However, as you can see, it's got a nice production there, right? So we can already meet all the demand with that, almost up to -2. You don't need to have the full demand though, right? So -2 is already fine to kind of like be there almost, right? So for now, I'm happy with that. This pushes my income a bit further. A few more people move in with that, and we have the next demand met. Water, I can see, is a bit problematic. How so? What's going on with water? Water is one of those things that's gonna get really nasty as we progress with more population. So yeah, as you can see, we're already using a lot of water slots, right? So this will not be possible forever. With that, also corporate level 10, hooray! We have another level, and we can also check it out now here, my corporation, as we continue. We are now a local business, right? So we also have a title that is really nice. The next title would be a startup company, and you can see we're here, right? And this is the full list of levels that you can achieve, and each one of those levels brings something new with it, so you can just grasp how complex this game actually gets. We also have competitors, right? These 4, and as we can see, we're last one right now, right? On expert difficulty, they're pushing really hard. Doesn't really matter per se. It's gonna be more important than once we start the whole investor share purchasing thing, auction thing, stuff like that. This is gonna be then a bit more problematic, so then we should really push for that. Wildwater Bay, yeah, successful start we have. This is the Anno 2205 Megacity series with all its DLCs, and I hope you enjoyed this one as we continue to develop the city and also, of course, push towards the moon in the next episode. Stay tuned.